Kerri's going to present issues facing job seekers, including some LinkedIn tips. So if you are a job seeker, this discussion is going to help you understand the nuances of the current labor market. So you'll be able to better understand the opportunities for success. Small business owners will find this discussion help them better to how they can address the needs and priorities of their clients and prospects. With a finance degree and an investment analyst background, Kerri walked into an Atlanta staffing office in 2003 and sought help finding another analyst position. As her story goes, she was recruited to be a recruiter. Kerri always boasts that I absolutely love what I do. I'm passionate about being in talent acquisition and helping people find jobs. It's the best feeling in the world. Working for several staffing agencies and consulting firms, as well as internally recruiting for a few corporations. Kerri has a keen knowledge of managing high-performance teams, strategizing with executive leaders, consulting with hiring managers and human resource partners, and sourcing and recruiting stellar candidates. Kerri has successfully managed relationships at all levels between the client hiring manager and the job seeker throughout the interview process, to ensure timely and effective placements. Thank you so much for being here. I'll turn it over to you. Hopefully we can get the slides running, and I really appreciate your time to spend with our group today.
Thanks, Richard.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Richard. As everyone knows, that I am, for about 17 years now, I've been in the recruiting field. I guess what the intro did not mention is that I too have worked as a recruiter in human resources for large companies. So that's both on the external recruiting side. I've worked for McKesson, I've worked for Coca-Cola Enterprises, and I've worked for some smaller companies, as well as consulting firms and staffing firms. So staffing firms like Robert Half International, K-Force, and then some consulting firms like Callaway Partners, which became Huron, became Warbird. So I am currently with Warbird, and I lead the recruiting team that recruits for healthcare management professionals throughout the country. And these are not clinical professionals, these are all management. So hospital CEOs, hospital CFOs, revenue cycle managers, IT implementation folks on the healthcare software side. And that's what Warbird Consulting Partners does right now. We have a couple of different practices, but the healthcare practice is the one that I am now with, leading the recruiting. So I just wanted to give a little presentation on some issues that folks are, facing right now, and hopefully I can be able to help folks, maybe especially Sita, because I know that Sita is looking as to whether or not she should do consulting or full-time employment, and I have a lot of information in my presentation about that. So I will go ahead and get started about interviewing and networking during COVID. So the most important thing I think is that to know is that 70% of jobs are found through networking. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's about who you know. And the amazing thing is that my husband's daughter just got laid off around Memorial Day, and so we went around to our neighborhood and said, "Who do you know in New York?" Because she lives in New York, and sure enough, one of our neighbors works for a company that's based in New York, and she was able to, long story short, is to be able to find a job through his company in New York. So definitely, ask around, network with friends, network with family. That's definitely the most important thing. But as we all know, since March, we all have to get comfortable interviewing and networking online. Practice video calls with friends, check the technology, be aware of your surroundings, look what's behind you. Have a clean professional background, make sure as best as possible that your noise is muted, the dogs are somewhere else. We all do understand, children, we can't avoid that. Sometimes it's kind of cute to have kids in the background, but, just try to have as much of a professional background as possible. And of course, a lot of us are getting very used to all of the resources such as LinkedIn and Zoom and FaceTime and Google Meet. And if you can just reconnect with folks that you already know, that's really important. I mean, you know, while we're all kind of on our own little island in our homes right now, just reconnecting is more important now than ever. But a lot of people are open to meeting new people. So try to reach out to folks in whatever field you're in, attend virtual events. There's plenty of user groups on LinkedIn in your industry, and I'm happy to walk through anyone either now or after this call about how to enroll or get accepted or invited into user groups. There's a lot of webinars, Eventbrite, and meetup groups. You know, feel free to just sign up for those and, you know, query and just narrow it down as far as what kind of groups that you'd like to check out. And when they do have those meetings, definitely comment in the chat boxes. We saw, for example, John, who left the meeting, he was typing in there, and, you know, just, you know, chat with other folks while you're in meetings, ask questions during the Q&A, connect with the moderator. And the more that you expand your network, again, back to my first point, 70% of jobs are found through networking. But one of the more important things that I heard recently is be prepared to answer the question, what skills have you learned during COVID? So I don't know if a lot of you know that there is a LinkedIn Learning Solutions. At the top right, you'll be able to see, and for free, there's a lot of classes that you can take. You know, there are webinars, there's classes, there's tests you can take at the end. And, you know, you can enhance your management skills. You can enhance your communication skills. You can enhance software skills. So, you know, stuff like that is kind of important. And that's what some employers are going to want to know, is what you've done during COVID, because so many people are laid off during COVID. And, you know, that's an obvious good answer as to why you're not working right now, if you're not. But it's more important as to what you've done and what you've enhanced in your career during this time. So back to one of my other points, recognizing good recruiters. One of the things that they're going to do is they're going to wait to ask for your references. If you're working with a recruiter and they immediately want to get your list of references, I would probably steer a little bit away from them. What they want to do in that situation is they want to get your references and try to sell opportunities to them, or see if they're hiring and try to get a job order from them. And I wouldn't recommend, you know, that path. Recruiters just are easy to understand if they're not, if they're talking in recruiting speak, you know, it's just try to be your own, you know, if recruiters, or if they're just they're people person, they're people. So if they sound, you know, superfluous, just try to steer away from them. Good recruiters ask you questions about your skills and how they are best transferable to the job you're seeking. A lot of people apply for positions that they just are not qualified for. A good recruiter will definitely work through that with you and just help you find the right job that your skills will best fit. Also, I think Richard can probably attest to this, is that good recruiters are not going to push you to accept an offer. There's so many factors into accepting a job offer: the location, the salary, the culture, the management skills, you know, what you're going to learn, what you're going to give to the future employer. So recruiters are going to walk through like a T-chart of the pros and cons. And, you know, if they're not doing that with you, then they're really just in it for themselves. And also, recruiters understand the market. They give you bits and tidbits of information, you know, like asking about your salary. They, you know, if someone's going to ask about your salary and what you're currently making, and they're forcing you to make that comment, I would steer away from folks like that. And also, they offer to help you when you can't, they can't find a job for you. Any advice? I'm always doing that for folks that I perhaps cannot help right now. but I'm giving them advice, how to better communicate your skills and how to better sell yourself, and look at this kind of behavioral interview on the internet and practice and learn, and revise your resume. There are a lot of times that I revise people's resumes that didn't even ask me. I see spelling errors, or I see the font is it's like 4 different fonts on a resume. So I'm always there to help folks. Most important, they return your calls and emails within 24 hours. How many people have experienced recruiters who just never call you back? Not only when you first try to reach out to them, but if you're in the process with them, they are not giving you updates. I reach out to my candidates. If they're in a job interview process, if I have not heard from the hiring manager within a week, I'm letting the candidate know, hey, just so you know, there's no update. Or if they call me or email me, I'm responding within 24 hours. So just definitely look for folks like that who can help you. Any questions about that?
Kerri, if I could add to that, that's a really good point. And I think one of the best things that I've learned over the years is that it makes a lot of sense to set the expectations with the candidate, not just with the client, but also with the candidate, so they know how you operate and they know the steps along the way, and Glenn, and how you'll communicate,
Right.
to sort of hold yourself accountable, as well as to make sure they understand what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's something that I feel like I've set myself apart. And also the recruiters who report to me and that I work with, it's my number one. If you're not responding back to someone who's called you or sent you an email, that's you're not on my team. So it's very important. So a lot of times people are interviewing right now and they may feel overqualified. And let me just give you a reason. I'm just kind of giving you that kind of the inside information from recruiters as to why some companies think you're overqualified, because so many people get rejected for jobs and they say, I don't know why, I'm perfectly fit for this position. Well, here's a couple of reasons as to why some people are not looked at, or they're looked over if they're applying for a job. Say you've had a CFO position for a number of years, and now you want to apply for a controller job, which is a lower level position for a similar size company. Companies are going to say, well, we don't want someone who has already done this 5-10 years ago. We want someone who has been more up and coming. So say you've also been far removed from the required tasks for about 5 years. They don't think that you're hands-on enough if you've not been in the type of role more recently. And also, a lot of people think if you had been a CFO, now you want a controller job, you're just going to take this for now and then jump when more money or more responsibilities come about. So, and also they think that you just won't grow or learn anything. And, with a lot of folks in the job market right now, they would rather have someone who is moving up in their career and who can learn and move into this position versus someone who has been there, done that. Whether it's good or not, these are just, facts that I hear a lot from clients, which is what I just said. Companies would want someone to grow into the position. However, if you really do want a position that you've had 10, 15, 20 years ago, so you want to convey your openness to lower level positions or titles or pay. And this is kind of some of the things that you can say to them. Well, I'm more financially stable right now, so I don't need it. The high profile job. And as we know, some of us are becoming empty nesters, and you don't need to, pay for college or, feed, your twin 17-year-old boys because, that they can eat you out of house and hole. So they're out of the house. So I don't need as much money.